Have you ever wondered how a regional conflict, such as the Israeli-Gaza dispute, can influence the global economy? This question is more pertinent than ever, as the world sees an escalation in the conflict that has been brewing for decades. The Israeli-Gaza conflict, a long-standing and complex issue, is rooted in a territorial dispute that has far-reaching implications, both politically and economically. This region, rich in history and culture, is also a significant economic hub, with a strong influence on global trade, finance, and market trends. The Israeli economy, for instance, has shown remarkable resilience in the face of these conflicts, thanks in large part to its thriving tech and pharmaceutical sectors. This resilience, coupled with a record current account surplus and reduced fuel imports owing to gas discoveries, has left investors largely unfazed by the ongoing strife. On the other hand, the economy of the Gaza Strip, under the control of the Palestinian Authority, faces significant challenges. High poverty rates, restrictions on trade and movement, and limited resources have hindered economic growth and development. However, the economy is not entirely stagnant. It is sustained by international aid, remittances, and the informal economy, which, while providing a lifeline to many, also adds to the complexity of the economic landscape. The conflict doesn't just impact the economies of Israel and the Palestinian territories. Its repercussions are felt globally, influencing everything from oil prices to stock market indices. The global economy is an interconnected web, and disruptions, whether political or otherwise, in one part of the world can send ripples across continents. But how exactly does this happen? How does a conflict in a relatively small region of the world echo in the global economic arena? Well, let's take a closer look. From disruptions in trade and investment to shifts in global alliances, the Israeli-Gaza conflict plays a significant role in shaping the world economy. The impact of this conflict is multifaceted, influencing not just the economies directly involved, but also those of neighboring countries and global superpowers. With this backdrop, delve deeper into the economic repercussions of this prolonged conflict. The roots of the Israeli-Gaza conflict trace back many decades, but how did it initially impact the world economy? The onset of this conflict shook the world, not just in terms of geopolitics, but also in economic terms. Initially, the conflict appeared to be localized, primarily influencing the economies of Israel and Palestine. The Palestinian economy faced significant challenges, with high poverty rates and restrictions on trade and movement. On the other hand, the Israeli market showed resilience, largely recovering from the initial shock of the conflict. The country's robust economy, thriving tech sector, and strong investment in pharmaceuticals helped it weather the storm. However, the ripples of this conflict extended beyond the immediate region. Global markets felt the tension, with investors warily watching the developments. Despite this, the impact on variables like bond yields and foreign exchange rates was temporary, as markets tend to bounce back once the initial shock subsides. Moreover, the conflict influenced the global energy sector. Israel's reduced fuel imports due to gas discoveries had implications for global energy markets. Any disruption in this area can have widespread effects, given the interconnectedness of the global energy market. Additionally, the conflict had an indirect impact on global health efforts. The World Bank reported a significant funding shortfall for the Palestinian COVID-19 vaccination plan. As resources were diverted to manage the conflict, health initiatives were left underfunded, potentially affecting global efforts to combat the pandemic. In terms of global trade, the conflict posed a risk to the stability of supply chains. Israel's strategic location as a trade link between Asia, Africa, and Europe meant that any disruption could have far-reaching implications. Concerns over supply chain stability can lead to increased costs and uncertainties in the global market. Investments were another area of impact. Though investors in Israeli bonds maintained their stance, the conflict added a layer of risk. The potential for prolonged security and political risks could pressure ratings, thereby influencing global investment decisions. The initial impact was significant, but as the conflict continued, its effects on the global economy evolved. As we delve further into this topic, we will explore how the progression of the conflict shaped economic consequences on a global scale. As the conflict progressed, its economic effects rippled outwards. But how exactly did these effects manifest? Allow me to paint a picture. The impact of the Israeli-Gaza conflict was not confined to its immediate geographical sphere. It stretched far and wide, affecting global markets, international trade and investment. But the ripples varied in intensity, depending on several factors. On one side, the Israeli economy showcased a surprising resilience. Investors, rather than being deterred by the conflict, seemed to be drawn towards Israel's robust tech and pharmaceutical sectors. Even amidst rocket attacks, the Israeli shekel and stock market largely recovered. This resilience was attributed to a record current account surplus, reduced fuel imports due to gas discoveries, and strong investment in tech and pharmaceutical sectors. However, let's not forget the flip side of the coin. The Gaza Strip faced significant economic challenges. High poverty rates, restrictions on trade and movement, all exacerbated by the conflict, painted a starkly different picture. The region was caught in a spiral of economic downturn. The conflict also had implications for key global players. The Palestinian Islamic Jihad, for instance, a group allied with Hamas, was significantly affected. With its strength estimated to be between 1,000 to several thousand members, the group's funding and arms supply were impacted, leading to a shift in the balance of power in the region. Moreover, the conflict influenced sectors beyond the immediate participants. Consider the global tech sector, for instance. Israel's thriving tech industry, a magnet for international investment, felt the tremors of the conflict. This was reflected in the performance of international tech stocks and investment trends. Furthermore, the conflict had indirect effects on the global economy. Increased security risks and political instability in the region could potentially exert pressure on global oil prices, affecting economies far removed from the conflict. In the end, the economic consequences were as complex as the conflict itself. The Israeli and Gaza economies, global markets, international trade and investment were all entwined in this intricate web of cause and effect. The conflict's progression brought about complex economic challenges that have far-reaching implications. The conflict continues to this day with profound economic implications. What are these implications, and what might the future hold? As we dwell in the present, the economic impact of the Israeli-Gaza conflict is felt around the world, not just within the borders of the conflict zone. The ripple effect of this conflict extends far beyond the Middle East, affecting global markets and economies. One significant area influenced by the conflict is technology. Israel, known for its resilient economy and thriving tech sector, has managed to maintain market stability despite the ongoing conflict. This resilience is attributed to a record current account surplus, strong investment in tech and pharmaceutical sectors, and reduced fuel imports due to gas discoveries. However, the conflict has also influenced various sectors on a global scale. The energy sector, for instance, is often impacted by geopolitical tensions, and the Israeli-Gaza conflict is no exception. This influence can be seen in the fluctuation of oil prices, which often rise during periods of heightened conflict. Similarly, the defense and security sectors worldwide also feel the impact, as countries increase their defense budgets to prepare for potential unrest. Looking ahead, the economic implications of the conflict could take several paths. If tensions escalate, we might see a more significant disruption to global markets, with potential effects on everything from commodity prices to stock market performance. On the other hand, a peaceful resolution could lead to an economic upturn as stability is restored and trade relations improve. However, it's crucial to remember that these are only potential scenarios. The future is inherently uncertain, especially when it comes to geopolitical conflicts. The economic repercussions of the Israeli-Gaza conflict will largely depend on how the situation unfolds. But one thing is certain: the economic stability of the region, and indeed the world, is tied to the resolution of this conflict. This connection underscores the importance of finding a peaceful and lasting solution to the Israeli-Gaza conflict. As we look to the future, the economic repercussions of the Israeli-Gaza conflict remain a critical consideration for global stability. In the past 7 minutes, we have journeyed through the economic timeline of the Israeli-Gaza conflict. We've traced its roots and explored its initial global impact, highlighting how even localized conflicts can ripple out and shake the world economy. We dove into the progression of the conflict, discussing how it has evolved over time, and how these changes have led to economic consequences. We've seen how factors like resilience, technological advancement, and strategic financial planning can counterbalance the detrimental effects of persistent conflict. Then, we brought our focus to the present day, checking the pulse of the current economic impact and casting our gaze towards the future. We've seen how the conflict continues to shape the economic landscape, posing new challenges, but also sparking innovation and resilience. To wrap up, it's clear that the Israeli-Gaza conflict, while geographically restricted, holds substantial influence over the world economy. It's a stark reminder that we live in an interconnected world where regional conflicts can have global repercussions, making it an essential subject for economists and global citizens to understand and monitor. Despite its regional nature, the Israeli-Gaza conflict holds significant sway over global economic stability, making it a vital topic for economists and global citizens alike.